So let's look at some examples that involve multiplying by the conjugate. And that's the fancy word for when you change the sign in between the two terms, is the conjugate. So in this first example, I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, which is square root of 3 minus 1. And I'm going to do that in the top and the bottom. Now I'm going to suggest in the top that you leave this factored for now. Leave it as 2 times the square root of 3 minus 1. Don't distribute the 2 quite yet. Now on the bottom we have a squared minus b squared. When you square the square root of 3, you get 3. And then you get your minus 1. And then you should probably quickly see why I want you to leave it factored in the top, because if we're going to be able to simplify anything in the bottom, being factored is nice. So that's just the square root of 3 minus 1. Now let's look to the second example on here, which is a little bit trickier, but the basic process is not tricky. The basic process is pretty easy and obvious, that all we're going to do is multiply by the conjugate. Now the process that we go through requires a couple more steps in this particular one though. Now up top we're going to keep it like the last one. We're going to leave the 5 on the outside for now. Maybe that'll change later, we'll see. But now in the bottom we got to be careful, because when I do my a squared, when I do 3 root 5 squared, I'm going to square the 3 and square the square root of 5 to get 5. So my a squared is 45. My b squared, 2 squared, is just 4. Now I can do my subtraction of 45 minus 4, which is 41. And at this point I can see that having that 5 out in front isn't helping me. So I would go ahead and distribute it and get 15 root 5 minus 10. Let's go ahead and look at the third piece of this. The conjugate of root 3 minus 5 is root 3 plus root 5. All we're doing here is changing the sign between them. Now in this problem up top, we're going to need a FOIL. First, outside, inside, last. And on the bottom, a squared minus b squared. Up top, we have root 6, root 10, 5 root 3, 5 root 5, and on the bottom, negative 2. Now, I do want to remind you, we do not ever leave a negative in the bottom. So what I would do if I were you is I would erase the negative in the bottom and just put it in front of the whole thing. And that's better mathematically.